to you, Jordan, Howard Schultz is dad, but
Yeah.
to me, to kind of the rest of the world, he's been this billionaire, former CEO of Starbucks, former owner of the Seattle SuperSonics. I guess, what was your childhood like because of that, knowing that your dad is dad, but to everyone else he's like this big figure?
I think when you're a really young kid, you don't really have any comprehension of it. And as you start to come of age, I'd say probably like middle school, so at 12, 13, 14 range, it starts to become in your peripherals. And then by the time you're in high school, like freshman, sophomore year, it really is evident because you're just so much more aware of everything in your surroundings, and certain things that might be normal to you are not normal at all to anyone else. Now, I was fortunate enough, as I told you off camera, I went to a really good school, and a lot of the kids that were at my school came from means. A lot of them were white, and it was kind of the same socioeconomic background from not everyone, but most of the kids. And so for me, having the outlet of sports and basketball was extremely important. And I bring that up because my dad was the one that brought that to me. He was a pretty successful high school quarterback in the Brooklyn Projects. That's how he got out. He went to Northern Michigan on a football scholarship. He ultimately didn't last and didn't play, but that was his way out. And he loved sports. He loved sports, and he passed that on to me. And he was the one that taught me all, how to play how to throw a basket, how to throw a baseball, how to make a tackle, how to shoot a basketball. All the things that I learned in sports were really from him. And so that really created our bond. And as I got older, I think I realized that, like I said, 14, 15, that, my dad was not just my dad, but he was someone that was really important to a lot of other people for different reasons. Financially, jobs. I mean, Starbucks has created, we talked about this yesterday, I think 5 million total jobs over its 45-year history. And currently 300,000 employees worldwide in 80-something countries. So, like, that stuff to me is just normal. And as a result of that, Ben, I grew up around things and experienced things. You mentioned the Sonics, being around celebrities, athletes that other kids didn't, right? So it wasn't, for me, it was totally normal. But I remember, like, sometimes friends, and even obviously you have your friends that share these experiences with you, but they see a snippet of it. So, like, sometimes friends would come over, especially when I was, a little bit older, and we knew like what a celebrity was, right? And like I remember Bono came over to my house. I haven't told this story, but Bono came over to my house because Starbucks was doing a partnership with Red, which was his initiative in Africa. And so what happened was he came over to the house, and I had a friend there, and I didn't even like. To me, it was cool, but it wasn't crazy, right? But for him, it was insane that Bono was in my house, and he freaked out. And I remember thinking that was really strange, but it wasn't strange to have that reaction. But I think that's the type of things that happen to me. And I'm very aware of this now as I've gotten older, because I want, like, I don't want to like necessarily, what's the word? Like, I'm really appreciative of it, but I don't want people to like look at me and necessarily associate me with my dad. So it's been a really tough balance as I've gotten older, trying to navigate my own path, but also being really proud of him and my mom.
For sure, Jordan, and kind of going off of that, right? I know you played college ball, and you've kind of built this brand, this image for yourself in sports media. How difficult maybe has it been for you to try to earn respect from people when they just look at you and say, "Oh, you come from money, you didn't have to work for anything in your life"? What has it been like for you trying to push up against that and trying to create your own name?
The silver spoon syndrome. That's it. And I don't blame people for thinking that, because that's a natural reaction. And I said this recently on another podcast. Like, I felt like I was born on home plate. I went around the bases, and I had innate advantages that almost no one else has had, and those advantages still exist. Like, I'm very aware that, like, I don't have to necessarily worry about sending my kids to good schools and eating well and having access to travel and just things that are so valuable and so hard to come by. You know, like I just feel like I've been so fortunate, and so I don't blame people when they think that. However, when I was a young kid, I was so incredibly aware of the fact that other people, especially adults, let alone my peers, were thinking that. You know, when I was really young, whether or not this was, I guess it was because of my experiences and maybe just the way I was raised, but like I would go the other way so much to make sure that that person or those people didn't think that about me. You know, when we had when my dad had the Sonics, you know, we owned the Sonics as a family for several years. It, there was a there was a way that we go through the arena, right? We go through the back entrance, and you kind of when you own the team, it's not you're not just going to a game. Like everything is very easy. The access is unparalleled. You know, you can go to the locker room, you can go anywhere in the arena. So I remember thinking like I'm gonna meet a lot of people because I'm on the floor with my dad. So they're seeing me and they're gonna look for something. They're gonna look for something that maybe I do wrong, or I seem spoiled, or I seem like a brat. So I was so conscious, Ben, of
Mm.
making sure that I introduced myself to all the ushers and all the employees, and I knew all their names, and I really wanted to cement the fact that like that was my dad, and yes, he I'm an extension of him, but I really tried to be very respectful of the process, and so long-winded answer. As I've gotten into this position as an NFL insider and reporting news, it was really important to me to establish myself, my own brand, and try to do it through the lens of the player. Because I remember thinking when he had the team, I didn't like how the media treated him or the players, and I really wanted to be in the position one day to try and change that.